And Commissioner Lewandowski.
Yes.
Okay. We have the
And
first
let's
reading.
just real quick. I just remembered. I just started recording to the cloud, so we'll have a record of this. Benefit of Zoom as well. So it's just started. I apologize not getting it started ahead of time, but we have that now. So go
And
ahead,
Holly, please note that I'm at the meeting. It took me all this time to get on, so
I have you present. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. I have the first reading of Ordinance 1684, amending Ordinance 1365, implementing a redevelopment plan for the Cuthbert Road redevelopment plan.
So this is amendments being made to a redevelopment plan that really just affect a single property. I'm pointing over here. I'm in my office right now, but pointing property out on Cuthbert Boulevard. This is the veterinarian, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So this is a veterinary hospital going in on Cuthbert Boulevard, just kind of right on the same strip, right alongside the Krispy Kreme. That's what this is for. This is to help make the zoning easier for them, for their approvals, and also to give us a little greater control in terms of how the building will look and what will be done with the building. So the second reading of this will be at the July 6th meeting as well. Okay, Hal?
Mayor Maley,
Yes.
Commissioner Leonard,
Yes.
and Commissioner Lewandowski.
Yes.
And I'll
Okay,
just note, one of our faces dropped off here. Chief Carey had to drop off. He's doing a meeting with some citizens in town regarding some plans for a walk, a march of some kind in a few days related to the horrific incident in Minneapolis last week. And he went to speak with those folks and talk to them to help solidify some plans. Okay, Hal, so before we do resolutions, we want to open up to the public for any items that are on the agenda. If you would like to address us with that, please either raise your hand or put in a question so I can see. You can't find the agenda on Collingswood's website. Someone's asking, can we direct it? Can I direct it to you now? Unfortunately, I don't know that I can do that. How is it? It's on the website. Where, Hal?
It is under agendas and minutes, I believe. If you go to government and then you scroll down, it'll say agendas, and then there'll be a draft, commissioners, and then draft.
Okay, so for Elizabeth Moore had asked that. Put the link in the, oh, I'm sorry. Folks have answered it. Other people put up the link to it. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions on the agenda? The agenda was posted Friday, huh?
Friday, and I just updated and revised around 6 o'clock tonight.
And I can tell you that we added the last two additional were added, right?
Correct.
Everybody for the additional ones, they both are, well, one is related to 641 Haddon Avenue, which is the former Warner lot right next to Groove Ground. It's a parking lot right now. We actually have been in negotiations with a couple different people about the sale of that property. We have a new entity that is looking to reuse the building in what we think is a really creative, great way. And so this is authorizing us to go into negotiations with them. And the other resolution that's been added is one that we've been working on and been talking to a lot of towns about, but is just really became very, very relevant today with the governor's announcement of relaxation of some of the limitations on restaurants in the next couple of weeks. It will give an emergency basis for us to approve outdoor dining at restaurants. The process will be that businesses will have to supply a plan to us. The zoning officer, the police chief, and the fire chief will review those. This is really the same process we have been following with every business in town for every level of this. It is one in which it has really worked and been very successful with us. If there's any other, okay, so Kate, I don't know, Kate Delaney has a question to you. I think I can, I was hoping I could, this just has me answered. So I'll go through, I've got questions here. Some of the folks are saying that they can't get the link because it's not in the, because they're not in the, that we've disabled the chat. Okay, I'll have to look at what we do on that. But if you go to the borough's website under the government, under agendas, you can take a look at it there. On the question, Kate Delaney has a question. I'm very concerned that we are approving, I'm sorry, it's jumping, another $2 million for the police building. What does that bring the total to? The total appropriation for it, not that we'll spend all of it, but the appropriation is $14 million is what the appropriation is for. Topic of the Cuthbert Avenue, Kate Delaney, Cuthbert Avenue redevelopment. How are you assessing the environmental impact of further redevelopment? Will this redevelopment involve another tax abatement? How does this redevelopment serve the current residents of Collingswood? So the environmental impact, that'll be through, it'll have to get site plan approval, goes through the site plan review at the land use board like any development does. Then the tax abatement, that I don't know. We have not gotten a request for that. If we do, it is a process. You know what? Let me just look here on this control, because I know the way we had this before, right? We had people asking the questions directly.
Yes.
Right? Why is this not working that way? My apologies. I hate reading your questions and then answering them. I don't see an option for me to do that. When I do, yeah, when I don't know, figure out why that didn't do that, why it is doing it differently. Okay, so just to finish, Kate asked about the tax abatement. We haven't gotten any requests for that. If we do, it'll be subject to an ordinance. It'll go through a process. It's not big enough of a project that I would expect it would be any kind of a long-term abatement. If anything, if they are going to ask for anything, it would probably be for a 5-year abatement, which tiers in the amount that they pay. How does the redevelopment serve the current residents of Collingswood? Well, it brings a rateable to us. It brings another business to us. It brings another rateable into the properties that are out here right now are not, have been empty for years. And we're providing new rateable to us. This is from Julie Schneider. The community feels that cameras for police officers will be beneficial for all community members to protect both citizens and officers. With so much money being spent on building, why is there not money for cameras? Why must we wait for a grant when it is a priority? Well, Julie, that's the first comment that we've ever gotten at any meeting, at any time, or in any email about body cameras for police officers. There's never been a choice made between them. I understand, I've seen on social media your conversations and other people's comments about it. It is the decision that was made. First off, body cameras have never been a consideration for us. We haven't been looking to add them. All of our police cars have cameras that are regularly reviewed as part of standard policy. It's a shame the chief is not on, but the chief I know would tell you that we've been working very hard for a number of years now on improving our department. ACLU training. We do a number of different trainings that are directly aimed at improving community policing, trying to sensitize our police officers. At this point, the fact that we're spending money on a building, first of all, it's being built. So we're finishing building the building. Body cams, probably $400,000 to $500,000 is what it costs. And we can always look at it down the road, but for right now, we don't have a critical need for it right now. We believe that a public safety facility that our officers and our firemen can function from is and has been for many years now a higher priority. Can we explain, Kate Delaney asks, can we explain the 3 sections of budget increases: general fund, water fund, sewer utility fund? I don't know that we have anything on, oh, is that, I presume that would be in the temporary budget?
Correct.
That's being proposed. So I can't give you line and verse on the specifics of it. I can only tell you that I'd have to get the specifics from you. And I apologize that we don't have this. I, for some reason, am not able to have you ask directly so that I could get into more specific of what you're requesting. You are authorizing a revision to resolution 2020-75 to apply for $574,000 for renovations and improvements to the library. How will you find the matching funds for this grant? They are already included in our budget. Solid waste disposal operating expenses require an additional $50,000. This is from Kate Delaney. Can we elaborate on that? Keith, do you have anything on what the extra 50? Was that the expectation that there's some apartment complexes are requesting to pick up?
We may have to start collecting their trash, and the tipping fees would go up.
So we have some apartment complexes that have requested we pick up their trash. State law requires us to pick up their trash if they follow the curbside collection rules. That is not something that we have done in the past. We require them to do curbside collection, such as the lumberyard and other places. So that's in there in case. That's in case we have to do something. Insurance operating expenses require an additional $350,000. Can you elaborate on this additional expense? Keith?
I don't have this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is, Kate. I apologize. We can try and get an answer to that and shoot that to you. Katie Ingersoll says Julie's referencing the video you put out about this, where you said that the Collingswood Police Department did not have body cams because of cost concerns. What research has been done into cost? Oh, the police department has researched it every year, and we've had a number for it pretty much every year. And yeah, the cost. Asked what the cost was. The cost would be between $400,000 and $5,000 was the last that we got. We discussed it doing this year. Obviously, this year's budget hasn't even been introduced yet because we're waiting to see what the impact of the virus is, because the issues on we've had huge loss of revenues, a lot of other issues. How regularly to review the camera footage from the vehicles? I can have the police chief let everybody know that. It's done as part of their standard operating procedures. Elizabeth Moore, she's concerned about the lack of funding for body cameras. Okay. The original bid for the safety building was this is Bill Johnson. The original bill for this bid for the safety building was $10.7 million. Do you anticipate the final cost will now be $12 million on the building? What is the total appropriation? Well, no, 10.7 is not what the original, that may have been the original estimate way back when, but with any project, the amount that we authorized to borrow was $12 million for this. And this final $2 million of $14 million, we believe will be the last that we need to do. Mr. Klingerman's asking what $250,000 in furniture includes. What's a $51,000 filing system do? Chief Davis, you want to help me with my with this, the specifics of what's in the building?
So it's outfitting the entire building with furnishings. I believe the filing systems for the police department is for all their records storage that they're required to have, along with their evidence collection. And what it is, it's a high density filing system. So it's actually, I believe it's 3 different rooms for filing systems that he needs in there.
And that includes not only just the criminal paperwork and records, it's also evidence. There's a lot of different requirements for police departments for filing systems. Margaret Mars says she agrees that body cameras are something we should be giving more thought to. I'm not disagreeing with you saying it's not something we should not ever do, but certainly in the middle of 2020, with what we're building and what the revenue impact is with this virus on municipal budgets, it's pretty much impossible to do right now. This is Mr. Klingerman. Camden County PD has had all officers utilize body cameras since 2016. Can the chief engage with that department to learn about costs, benefits, and lessons learned? These are critical for 21st century policing. Certainly, we do all the time. Camden County Police Department, which services Camden City, received a state grant for all of their body cams, which is not available generally. How can we rationalize having videos to monitor individuals within the jail but not on arrest? What % of arrest encounters occur in front of a vehicle? Mr. Klingerman, the state law requires us to monitor the individuals within the jail. That's the rationalization for it. Kate Delaney asks, in addition to the $2 million increase, you are also approving $50,000 in filing services for the public safety building, $1 million for security systems for the public safety building, 81,000. Well, first, let me just say your question's not correct. In addition to the 2 million, it's not. These are all items that are within the 2 million. 81,000 in office furniture for public safety building, 93,000 for more office furniture for the public safety building, 93,000 for the waiting room furniture for the public safety building. How would rationalize these numbers to residents? Very simply, they've been put together by the police chief and the fire chief for outfitting the building. And they're within the 2 million, they're not in addition to. That's interesting. On the video about not having body cams, you said you were spending 10 to 11 million on the police and fire building. That is correct. That's what the original appropriation was, 10, and we're adding the 2, I'm sorry, it was 12, and we're adding 2 to it this evening. Yes, I misspoke. It wasn't, I had the wrong numbers. I'm still hoping we get to 10, 11, but I must have misspoken on Friday. I'd like to know when residents will have the opportunity to speak up to why they believe the body cameras are a priority. Certainly for the next meeting, we'll have this fixed up, okay? Can we not add a referendum to vote on that would raise taxes for 1 year to pay for the cameras, similar to what we did for funds for mental health in the high school? There is no provision for that in state law for municipal budgets. It is, and anyway, it's certainly too late for this year. It would be something that have to be looked at next year. Look, it's something we can look at. I mean, nobody's saying no. This is just something that we have to, you have to plan for. It's not something you do just in a spur because this is going to somehow fix something. Did you just say 91,000 for waiting room furniture? That seems extremely high. No, I was reading a question. That's all. I was reading a question for somebody. Okay. Let's go through the agenda items. Go ahead.
Okay. Authorizing an increase in the temporary budget.
This
Yes.
is, we're doing this temporary budget. I'm sorry. It's just simply, we would usually be introducing the budget by now, but because of the virus and the impacts on finances, that's been extended to actually to the end of July for us to introduce a budget, which is a great thing because there are a lot of expenses and revenues that are very uncertain right now. So we're waiting to see. I'm sorry. Yes.
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 Authorizing a revision to the resolution 2020-75 adopted March 2nd, 2020, a resolution authorizing the Collingswood Public Library to apply for the New Jersey Library Construction Bond Act grant.
Commissioner Lewandowski, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, so, you know, a couple of years ago, there was a statewide referendum that I think took about $500 million and dedicated, or maybe $150 million and dedicated it towards upgrades to our libraries, our community libraries, recognizing that our own facility is not ADA accessible, bathrooms downstairs, access to some of the holdings, and that there was free money available. We took the opportunity to engage the Camden County Improvement Authority to explore a cost-benefit analysis of expanding, improving our bathrooms, our ADA accessibility, and our space utilization. So it's no guarantee that we'll get the money. It's very competitive, but putting it out there and trying is the first step. And I suspect if we don't get the money, that, especially given what's going on now, that this will have to be put you know, on the back burner for a while, but we're going to keep pushing forward and see what we can do.
Okay, Hal?
Did you vote on that one? I'm sorry.
No, we didn't. No, that's what I want to do. Yes.
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 Okay. Authorizing the renewal of a single stream recycling agreement for FCR.
So this is keeping the county recycling program in place. FCRs who contracts with all of the Camden County municipalities for single stream recycling as it changes throughout the year. It's changing a whole lot these days. Yes.
Yes.
Referring ordinance 1684 for an amendment to the redevelopment plan to the planning board.
So the changes being made in the ordinance that was introduced about the Cuthbert Boulevard Veterinary Hospital, that the process is that goes to the planning board for the planning board to review that plan and make any comments or recommendations and determine whether it's consistent with the master plan, make that back to the governing body. Yes.
Yes.
Appointing Michael Mannion as a firefighter EMT for the Collingswood Fire Department.
Yes.
Yes.
Authorizing the refund of tax overpayment, Block 3, Lot 8.
Yes.
Yes.
Authorizing the Borough of Collingswood to renew the commodity resale system and enter into a commodity resale agreement with other contracting units.
Yes.
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 Authorizing a cooperative agreement with Camden County for the years 2021 to 2023 for CDBG.
So this is our authorization to sign up with it's a federal program that is administered through Camden County that provides, well, we use it to provide a good deal of funding for senior services at the community center, and it's used for other specific grant programs in certain areas of town. It helps pave streets in certain parts of town, do some infrastructure work, things like that. It's guaranteed money. Keith, how much is it a year for us?
45,000.
Okay, so this is just re-upping that contract. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call for this one. This is the second reading and public hearing of the 2020 bid budget.
You got it. Okay, so this is there anyone that would like to speak on the I'm looking for ways to get people to talk, and I just can't figure it out. So if anyone has any questions related to the bid budget, this is the public hearing on it. I think there's a minor increase, but there's not much of an increase in it. Anyone have anything? Okay, not seeing anything. Go ahead, Hal.
Okay, Mayor Maley,
Yes.
Commissioner Leonard,
Yes.
and Commissioner Lewandowski.
Yes.
Okay. Authorizing an award of a contract to Hallworth for the provision of office workstation and supporting systems furniture and the provision of tables and chairs for meeting spaces, waiting rooms, and public areas for the new public safety building.
So I think that, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's all these now going through a few of the details of everything we've discussed we need to have it authorized in order to follow through on the purchase. So that's what why the bond ordinance is this evening.
And Mayor, I just want to point out, I think the number referenced before, the 93,000 for waiting rooms, we can see is actually for conference tables, chairs, meeting spaces, workstations. It's more than just the public waiting room, which obviously would have been pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's not the most luxurious waiting room. You really don't want to spend time there. Okay, yes.
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 Awarding a contract, authorizing award of contract with Group La Casa for the provision of furniture, private offices, and conference rooms in the new public safety building.
Yes.
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 Authorizing award of contract with Datum for the provision of filing and storage systems, bunk beds for the new public safety building.
Yes.
Yes.
Authorizing award of contract with Space Saver for the provision of high-density filing and supporting systems for the new public safety building.
Yes.
Yes.
Authorizing award of contract to CM3 Building Solutions for the provision of security systems, including video surveillance systems and access control, low voltage cabling systems, audio visual systems, public address systems, and information technology systems, a technical support system for the new public safety building.
Yes.
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 Okay, authorizing negotiations for the sale of 641 Haddon Avenue.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
what we
Yes.
discussed earlier. It's the parking lot next to Groove Ground. Yes.
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 And authorizing temporary relaxation of site plan review and approval of existing restaurants in connection with the current public health emergency.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let me just explain a little bit more detail. We have our weekly call with the businesses tomorrow morning. We'll go over with them a little bit. Chief Davis had done a survey, and Cass Duffy had done a survey of all of the restaurants in town some time ago, determined how much public space, how much open space would be available to them at their restaurant. We're going to try to work out plans with everyone to see what we can do to expand it. I know there's been a lot of, at least I've seen a lot of social media chatter about such issues that just close all the streets. It's just not that simple. We have businesses, our retail businesses have now not only their curbside, but are going to be allowed to have retail, have people actually come to the stores. A lot of our restaurants have a pretty strong curbside and takeout that they have raised a number of objections about doing anything that closes the street. So we're kind of we may do an event that does that, but we're going to take some slow steps here to see what we can accommodate with each restaurant in each area and really make it site specific to try to increase their capability. Okay, to get some service as soon as we can. Commissioner Leonard Lewandowski, it's not a comment, but do you want to add anything on this topic?
I think that this has been really tough on so many businesses on so many levels, their staff, their future planning, the anxiety that it produces, and the lack of revenues. And we have been talking constantly with people and with each other to try to come up with the right things to do. So hopefully over the next month, we'll see some positive step-by-step changes that will help everybody to hang in there and move forward. That's it.
Okay.
I'll just add that, the easing of the restrictions doesn't end the real risk that these businesses are under, that, crunch time is still here. And just when, we see the major corporations, the Macy's and the like are filing for Chapter 1, you can imagine what small mom and pop businesses are under. So, we ask you to, to really think local and shop local and make plans, come down, be brief, limit social, contact, and let's help all our businesses who really are one of the reasons that I think a lot of us love and enjoy Collingswood and our downtown. So just want to
one of the events that we're going to be doing that will be rolled out in the next soon as we can get to it, because it's not everything these days. There's 10 things that jump up that we never expected. But we're going to do, at the holidays we do our bonus cash with Collingswood Cash. We're going to kind of split that. We're going to do an earlier one as well as one later in the year at the holidays. So you can keep an eye out for that. We're trying to figure out how we can do that in a safe way. But it's a way for us to get some of that bonus cash, as well as the gift card, the gift the Collingswood Cash people buy, get it out into the stores and restaurants sooner rather than later. So that'll be coming pretty soon. Okay, Hal, we have one more. We have to pay bills, right?
Yes, approving the payment of bills as presented by the treasurer.
Yes.
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 Okay. Commissioner Lewandowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It occurred to me that this is the last commissioners meeting before the retirement of a very special person in Collingswood. And that's our library's youth services librarian and storytime reader to thousands of Collingswood kids, Dorothy Garabedian. You might know her as Miss Dot. So Dot has been 26 years with our library, and it took the last year for her to really become an online sensation and to sort of transfer a lot of the service she offers online. And, she's retiring at the end of this month. And as a parent, as a resident, as a commissioner, but mostly as a parent, I couldn't be more grateful and wish Miss Dot the very best moving forward. So we thank her for that. One more thing on a more sobering note is really to talk a little bit about the killing of George Floyd and how it's put us really all in a state of anger and despair, and asking, why this had to happen and how we can make sure it doesn't happen again. You can ask my wife. There are many sleepless nights for both of us as we try to deal with our own grief. We want justice for Mr. Floyd, but also a more just society, period, full stop. As was mentioned before, and I just want to address it, in the last 24 hours or so, a lot of talk about outfitting our police with body cameras. I didn't know a lot about this before now. Spoke to obviously our public safety officers, did a lot of research on myself, and beginning to understand their value as well as their limitations. And I just want to talk about it a little bit. First of all, in my education, I found a really great article from the Pew Research Center. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Pew is one of the largest and most respected foundations nationally. They're not lobbyists or single issue advocates. Pew is nonpartisan. They call themselves as a fact tank that informs the public about issues, attitudes, and trends. So this article is actually called "Body Cameras May Not Be an Easy Answer Everyone Was Looking For." And it's really comprehensive and it's important to read. Not that they're not good, but that we need to take a discerning look at this. So a couple of things I just want to point out. First of all, generally, both the police and the public support body cameras being worn. So I just want to make sure it's clear that it's not a police versus public issue. Police oftentimes like it because it backs up their reporting, their investigations. Obviously, the public, appreciates having the transparency of the cameras. About 40 to 45% of the departments of our size have body cameras. So Collingswood is not unique in not having them. As was mentioned, we have dashboard cameras, and they're all operable and regularly reviewed. But we are part of the 60 or 55% of departments our size without body cameras. Just want to point out, in New Jersey, body cameras are not required. And in last year's state budget, the state dedicated $1 million for departments to purchase body cameras. So, you put that in the context where Collingswood could be several $100,000 to outfit one department. There's $1 million out there to be shared among 565 municipalities, sheriff's offices, and the like. And that costs are not just cameras, right? It's video storage, it's maintenance, it's training. This is all stuff from this article, so I just wanted to sort of mention it. Pew mentions in there many studies. I'm going to just reference one, and it's a study published by George Mason University's Center for Evidence-Based Crime Policy. This was a study where they looked at 70 other body-worn camera studies published through June of 18, and they found that cameras have not had statistically significant effects on most of the measures of officer or citizen behavior or citizens' view of police. You know, it's one of the reasons that groups like the ACLU and the Urban Institute have also weighed in and recognized that there are limitations to what a body camera can do. Now, all that being said, I'm not against the idea of body cameras. But if you think it's a good idea and we should just cut a check and get them immediately, I think you will be disappointed that this is a conversation that should continue. I know we're all very upset and dealing with things, but you know, if we're going to do this, we need to do it right. You know, the last thing I want to say is beyond wanting police outfitted with body cameras so we can catch them being bad, is really what I want and expect is our police not to be bad. You know, I want them to act honorably and professionally, to treat people with respect and dignity, and to live up to the highest of expectations that we as a community set, right? And I don't think our department is perfect, just as I don't think any department is perfect. But I do think the messages are sent and the culture is established within our police department that doesn't accept corruption or abuse, that understands the rights of citizens and the duties and responsibilities of police officers who swore an oath to serve. You know, body cams are good, but behaving professionally and honorably all the time, every time is better. You know, for all the horror in witnessing the killing of George Floyd, I'm also secure in knowing, and I want people to know in Collingswood, we're not poisoned with a corrupt police force or dirty cops, and that we're always looking for ways to do better. I think that's really important, that body cams are good, but just being good is better. And that is something we expect from the top down of our police force. And I feel like we get it. I do hope we continue to talk, to listen, to channel our energies to address the very real issues of racial injustice, both in Collingswood and throughout this country and world. And, you know, if one thing that I hope we all learn is that as much as we're all having this emotional and very real, reaction right now, that, you know, this racism wasn't created in a day and it won't be solved in a day. And then I hope we can continue and we'll work on creating those channels for community engagement and discussion. So that's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Leonard.
Well, Rob, you've certainly given us enough food for thought for today that I'll hold back on mine. I agree with what you're saying. And part of the horror of everything that's just gone on is looking back at where we've been the past 3 months and how incredibly kind and supportive everybody has been in communities across the world, across our country, and especially in our little town. And so this is such a setback. And, you know, people with going through the COVID-19, there has been so much good of people that are so great to each other. And I'm very proud of our community and hope that we can just keep shining that light of goodness and keep that up so that it overshadows the misery that we're talking about right now, and keep it up and, you know, keep the light going for all of us. Mayor?
Okay, thanks. So on this issue, let me just, I just want to make 2 comments. One is Chief Carey and our department, we've been blessed with a great department. We don't have, I don't even think we have any complaints that come close to this, let alone incidents. And it is really important that the training has been proceeding. Kevin has been instituting a lot of new policies and we have really worked hard to improve our department. Number one, and the only other point I want to make is that we have a track record of not accepting bad behavior by officers. I've read a little bit about these officers involved, specifically the one who's been charged, has a long history of violence issues. And I mentioned in the video last week that we've just completed a process with one where there was an allegation of a violent incident outside of work, nothing to do with work. And we made the decision that we were moving with a complete termination, and frankly spent way more money than we would have had to. The one thing I've seen on all of this about, the system has to get changed about how hard or how easy it is to get to discipline or to fire a police officer. That may be, but it is just not so clear and simple an issue, because there are, like everything as serious as this, you don't want to have a police officer stay on that is a threat to the public, but you also don't want to have someone that has a grudge against a cop to be able to make a complaint and get a guy fired. So it's something that there's a balance in between, and we need to be reviewing it. And I'll just tell you, this borough's record when it comes to any kind of bad behavior is to take a firm, at many times not an economically beneficial stance, but to fight it to the end. And that's what we've done. So I know that has taken up a lot of the focus over the last few days, but we also happen to be in this little state of emergency involving the virus. Our rec programs, I just want to run through where we are with things. Our rec programs have been canceled through June 30. I have a lot of people that are asking me, are we going to be opening up the community pool? Please, 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 can we open the community pool? And asking about the 4th of July. We were scheduled for July 3rd to have the United States Army Field Band come again. This time on July 3rd, they have canceled as a result of the virus. I know Philadelphia has pretty much canceled all of their 4th of July festivities. We have not yet. We're waiting to hear what's going on. It certainly does not look good. The best example I can give for you to put in perspective, the governor's rules about high school allowing graduations, in-person graduations, have all kinds of restrictions on them. Right now, the max for outdoor public events is 25, which also relates to the notion that we just opened up Haddon Avenue to let restaurants be outside. Presumably anyone else that wants to be out and walk the avenue. Is events that have more than 25 people are not allowed. To get to where the pool we could start to think about the pool opening, you're going to need to be 400 or 500 for attendance at the pool. So we're a long way away. We're a long way away from it, and that's provided. I had a conversation with Bobby Rodriguez today about whether we would be able to staff the pool. Because a lot of our lifeguards, we're about half of what we would need are ready to come back, and we would need to staff it. A lot of kids are getting other jobs. There's a ton of issues. Not to mention having high school and college kids sanitize everything. But the rules themselves at this point don't give us much option to get ready for that. Borough operations continue ahead. We're having some discussion today. Everybody's still trying to figure out if this change of rules means that the borough offices may be open soon for limited access by people. But whether you can get in the building or not, you can conduct all of your business with the borough. We have a drop box outside the side door. You can do most everything online. There are people there. If you call during the day, they will help you. Our public works, police, fire, obviously, have been functioning normally. We're continuing to do everything that we possibly can. And The last comment I have is with respect to people that may need help. Collingswood Cares has been working really hard. We've helped almost 50 families now. The borough people have been so generous, and we're so thankful for what they've done. We had some food that was donated, that was distributed at the Parkview, was donated in by Carson Wentz's charitable foundation. It's called Thy Kingdom Crumb, just to give him a shout out and a plug to thank him so much. We have helped a bunch of families, but if you know of anyone, if you make sure, even as we're, quote, reopening, there are still many people that are struggling, that cannot get out of the house, that are not working, that may be having financial issues. Please don't hesitate to let us know. Everything is confidential. We've never revealed names of anybody we help. I just can't emphasize it enough that we want you to reach out and contact us. Okay, I'm going to open it up for questions in this, unhappy, limited way that we have. Let me see if anybody has any others. There's one from before. Would the commission be open to adopting a resolution that encourages the change of state code so that body cameras must be required? Mr. Klingerman, it's certainly something that can be considered, Mr. Klingerman. I think I don't think it's ever been discussed at the state. And as Rob mentioned, it's because it comes with a hefty price tag. And if they're going to mandate it, there's this state mandate, state pay requirement. Collingswood, Dave D said Collingswood police were extremely helpful and instrumental in our peaceful protest down Haddon Avenue yesterday. Very much appreciate their assistance. Thank you for those kind words. We've also been contacted by a couple other groups, what part of Chief Carey's conversation is we're trying to kind of organize a single event, a significant event that would kind of consolidate them, I should say, a consolidated event. Where can we get information on the racial and ethnic backgrounds of police calls, contacts, arrests, and physical force interventions? Clinton Connor's asking. Clinton, the Attorney General I believe maintains all those records. I think they are through the police department. They're part of, I believe they're part of the confidential reporting to the Attorney General's office, and I believe they compile that information and keep track of that. And I think it's pulled, I don't think we compile it and send it up. It's based on our incident reports and data that goes up. That's how they put that information together. Brian Dilks-Brotman, has there been any Brian gave us his address. Brian, thank you very much. I completely forgot about collecting those. Has there been any communication from or with the county or Camden city government regarding the plans to tie the Covanta trash incinerator, by far the #1 polluter in the county and one of the worst and least efficient trash incinerators in the country, into a microgrid plan, which would extend the life of that facility well past the usual life of that sort of facility? If those discussions have taken place, what information was shared? Brian, I can tell you, I've had no conversation with anyone about a trash incinerator in 20 years. This project's extremely concerning. The environmental impact on our own community aside, this plant literally poisoning our neighbors in Camden. Environmental contaminants from facilities like Covanta have played a significant role in the disproportionate impact of COVID in Camden. In many ways, Camden is ground zero for environmental racism, and I would like to see my commissioners oppose its expansion. Okay, that's Brian Dilks-Brotman. Is there an update on the study? This is Jen Rossi. Is there an update on the study related to community energy aggregation? We have not. I think we have the consultant that we'll be using who's done some other towns. We have not moved forward with that simply because we've been up to our eyeballs with the virus and trying to keep things operating. We're slowly getting back into into kind of, let's say, normal policy operations, and hopefully we'll be able to get to that very shortly. Thank you, commissioners, for sharing your perspectives and the thought you put into your response. Can the chief speak on body cameras from his perspective? If the money became available, would he like to have them for his officers, and why or why not? So the chief that you see on the screen is not the police chief. This is Chief Davis from the fire department. We'll be sure to have Chief Carey for a next one. I can tell you that he conveyed to me, at least today, that he did not think it made sense for us to do right now. In fact, his one line to me was, Minneapolis has body cams, okay? So he felt it was much more important to do training and to kind of set that culture within the department to make sure this, as Commissioner Lewandowski said, that this just does not happen. Once a forum is established to discuss racial issues and how residents can get more involved, where will that information be publicized? Well, to the extent that we get any forum together, which I know there's some talk going on it, it'll be publicized all the ways we usually do. We'll let the paper press know, we'll put it on our website, we'll post it all over social media. We'll do everything we can to get it out and about. Okay, really, we're gonna get this fixed, because I know last time it worked. I hope it's not because I didn't push a button the right way. I don't see any more questions. Give everybody a chance. Okay, I'm sorry. Elizabeth Moore said, I emails last week requesting the percent breakdown of traffic stops and fines by race. Are you saying that's confidential? No, I'm saying you should follow up on your email request about that. I don't know that we have that information, but that's certainly something you should direct to the police chief. Okay. I believe that the Attorney General keeps record of that information. I don't believe that is a record-keeping data compilation that our local department does, or that any local department does. How much will body cameras cost approximately? It seems the hesitation is entirely on cost. Ratna Shah is asking. The numbers that we had for this year were between, I think it was $450,000. It was between $400,000 and $500,000 is what body cams would cost for the department today.
Just in case you missed it, it's not just cost for me. I mean, it's costing as much as there's a benefit to it. But you know, as I mentioned, there is a lot of research in a lot of communities that are saying they're not getting, and a lot of research that says they're not getting as much of the intended consequences as they anticipated out of body cameras. So that's why we want to be thorough about it.
Yeah, the cost is a function of, is it better to spend $450,000 on body cams, or is it a better result to spend $50,000 on intensive training for officers to make sure it doesn't happen? Like I said, what the chief said to me today is, hey, Minneapolis had body cams. Okay. All right. What else? Any more? Let's see if there's anyone else.
If some things aren't coming at the bottom, so there's a couple others there.
Just a resource to share. This is from Brian, I guess Brian Brotman, I would presume. It says just a resource to share. It's force.nj.com. A lot of the information people are asking for can be found there. There's some information. Can you tell about how our trash is taken care of? Is it sent to Camden through Covanta? See, I haven't been in conversations. I can't even pronounce the name. If so, do we have to send a certain amount of trash? Just trying to understand where trash from Collingswood goes. So Keith Hastings, it goes to the incinerator in Camden.
Correct.
Okay. Have you seen or heard anything of Covanta?
No.
Okay.
So is that a different company than the one that used to run it? It was, I don't know if things have changed.
It's run by the authority, right?
County.
It's run by, yeah, I am not familiar with it at all.
I did not know that name that he said, but I am happy to read any information that is sent. We certainly are under the same umbrella of AIR as Cherry Hill, Haddonfield, Camden, and Philadelphia. It's one big umbrella. There's no walls, no limits. We are as concerned as anybody if there's something going on that we can do better. Not that we are running the incinerator, but we are right next door to that. So send information. I'm happy to read it and look into it and talk to you.
And Elizabeth Moore has a comment. These breakdowns of traffic stops fines by race are important. If it is disproportionate, that highlights an issue.
Agreed.
Okay.
Right.
All right. I think that's it. We're going to bring the meeting to an end. I apologize again that everyone had to type comments and questions. We will get that fixed in time for our July 6th meeting. And with that, we are adjourned. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank
Stay
you,
safe,
everyone.
everybody.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Sleep well.